Recently, I was scrolling on my FYP because I sometimes treat it as a Pinterest board and try to find inspo from there. And I was scrolling and I was looking at all of the aesthetics that's marketed and showcased to women, like the clean girl aesthetic, like the baddie aesthetic, like the goth girl aesthetic. And I sat down and I was like, other than the clean girl and like I would say the whimsical baddie aesthetic that's more marketed with women in mind, there's something very off-putting about like the goth girl aesthetic or like the e-girl aesthetic. And there's this other aesthetic, I don't know if this is the correct name, I think it's called the baby doll aesthetic, where the aesthetic just basically infantilized women. And I was like, something's a little off about this. You know what this reminds me of? Corn categories. How it's like the goth girl or like the e-girl, like the anime girl. This is a corn category. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like you would think a aesthetic tailored for a woman would be for women, but it's actually for women to be more palatable for men. Like it's interesting how that works. I'm all about aesthetics. There's a reason why it's like 100-degree weather and it took me, I stayed 2 hours just to make this background look whimsical. I'm all about aesthetics. I even considered making this channel before like I had my face. I was gonna make this channel an art channel because I love to draw. I love to capture aesthetics and beauty. This is what I stand for. This is what I love. But when we were talking about aesthetics on TikTok that's mainly marketed to women, I gave a few examples before. Usually these aesthetics, they're still aesthetics, but they're aesthetics that play into the certain fantasy for men. There's a reason why in 2020, when there were authentic goths on the internet, they weren't really mainstream compared to now. The whole point of this subgenre is to defy conventional beauty. So they're not supposed to be this mainstream, like ultra feminine TikTok type of beauty or TikTok type of aesthetic, because they're supposed to defy what's culturally accepted as beautiful, as the norm. So it's really rare and weird to see this subgenre be so praised and highlighted in the media in this way. Well, it's because the media is not actually praising authentic goth subgenres and subcultures. They're praising whatever this is, which is a very watered down, hypersexualized version of what goth is. But in order for this subgenre to be mainstream, it had to be twisted and diluted and distorted into this hypersexual fantasy of some sorts in order to be regarded. Because this is what TikTok aesthetics that are dedicated to women are. They're this hypersexual fantasy. It's not a real representation of women. TikTok aesthetics are not a representation of actual women, just like how this is not a representation of actual goth people. Now, yes, I do understand how aesthetics works. I know that it's supposed to play into a fantasy. It is a form of escapism after all. They're called aesthetics. They're supposed to be pleasing to the eye. They're not supposed to capture the mundaneness of reality. Like they're supposed to be unreal. I can respect fantasy. I'm all about fantasy. Do you think my room is actually this clean? No, right? It's a fantasy. It's not real, right? It's for the fun of it. But I think it is really harmful when we have aesthetics that captures a woman's beauty solely for the sake of commodifying it. Now I know that aesthetics like the clean girl aesthetic, like the whimsical girl aesthetic that's more tailored to women, are also made to be commodified, are curated to sell this type of fantasy lifestyle so women could buy into. That's the purpose of every aesthetic. But the difference between something like the clean girl aesthetic versus like the goth girl or like the e-girl aesthetic is that although they're both being commodified, right? Although they're both being sold to women, the clean girl aesthetic actually incorporates things that are helpful for women that they could aspire to be, like being organized, right? The whole clean girl aesthetic is being clean, being organized. It also encourages women to do things like stay hydrated, to eat clean, to exercise. Now, I know one can argue that the clean girl aesthetic encourages overconsumption, which I totally agree with. I know there's a very dark side of the aesthetic where women will spend millions of dollars on skincare products that does remotely nothing. But if we compare something like this to e-girl aesthetic, goth girl aesthetic, which is just gooner bait. It literally is, right? We could obviously acknowledge that one aesthetic is more beneficial to women. Like, we can't be too idealistic. Nothing's perfect, including aesthetics on TikTok, especially aesthetics on TikTok, especially not. But if we're just going by first glance, I mean, which one is a little better? For background information, if you live under a rock, you probably don't know who Bella Delphine is. I don't know if she still makes content now, but she in 2020 was primarily known for her OF content, where she made like anime girl, quirky, fetishy type of content. Not only did she have a lot of male followers, but there was a lot of women who admired her, not only because she's very pretty, but also because she popularized this new e-girl makeup look that every woman in 2020 was dying to get their hands on. Now, I love the anime girl aesthetic. I know there's very fetishy and weird parts of it, but the cute aesthetics I love. But this aesthetic was mainly popularized because it objectifies women and turns them into this male fantasy trope. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be more desirable and attractive to men. If you are heterosexual, that is bound to happen. But that's different compared to following these aesthetics and as a result, turning yourself into this fetishized character to be desired, especially without fully knowing that these aesthetics are just playing out a fetishized character. Now, I'm not shaming any woman that partakes in goth girl, e-girl aesthetic, because I don't want this video to be like, this is right and this is wrong. This is yes, this is no. If you do this, you're a slut. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. I just want women to understand that some of these aesthetics, like, it's not really made for you. Like, it's not tailored for you. So if it's not for you, even though it seems like it is, you shouldn't put yourself in harm's way through partaking in it. If you genuinely like the subculture of goth, then partake in the authentic culture of it, not this like watered down version. Now, like I said, there's nuance in everything. Not everything is black and white. Did I steal my makeup look from an e-girl? Yes. Is the e-girl aesthetic just building off of a fetish? Yes. But am I gonna ever change my makeup style? No, because it's going to eat every time. That eyeliner with the highlight, with the contour on the nose, with the blush, is going to eat every time. But you can incorporate things from an aesthetic, but not do it the full way. Like, am I making sense? Do y'all understanding what I'm trying to say? These aesthetics are being showcased and played out by these very attractive women. And of course, women would want to emulate other attractive women. So you shouldn't feel shame for liking these aesthetics or wanting to take part in it, but you should understand that a lot of these aesthetics are brainwashing women to turn themselves into like this sexually deviant fantasy for men. But if you were smart, you would know how to partake in the parts of these aesthetics that are just aesthetics and are just lighthearted fun, but also know how to disregard parts of this aesthetic that is just pure gooner bait. A lot of women might say, well, why does it matter what aesthetics I take part of? It's because these aesthetics are more than just aesthetics. They're archetypes being sold to women. They're archetypes that women mistakenly identify themselves for. There's a lot of women that will ask themselves, why is it so hard for me to exist without feeling like I am performing? Why is it hard for me to feel secure in myself? It's because we have content like these TikTok aesthetics that are programming women into becoming a character, something that is observed, this persona that only exists for the pleasure of others, for the amusement of others. Of course you're going to be insecure. Of course you're always going to feel like you're being watched. Of course you're going to feel like you always have to perform if you are being brainwashed into being a character, into being an e-girl or a clean girl or the baby doll aesthetic girl. These are characters. This is a fantasy being played out. This is not a representation of a real woman. And frankly, you're not going to find representations of real women. Even this video, even me being here, this is a part of me. This little 12-minute or 20-minute clip is not the full representation of me. So even this, some could say, is a character. The goal of this video isn't encouraging you to fully opt out of participating in the latest trends or aesthetics. I am an aesthetic enjoyer as much as anyone else. But this video is for you to be aware of what type of trends in aesthetics you are being influenced by, and how these trends are subconsciously programming you into being a person that you're not. The whole goal of life is to bring you closer to your authentic self than further. That's it from this video. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and join my women-only Discord server. I hope this video helps, and see you next video. Bye!